Good morning, James Chapman.
What it does.
Oh man, my voice this morning is a little coarse.
Little coarse, huh? It's got a little coarse.
I don't know. Coarse is not the word I was supposed to use there, was it?
Horse?
Horse, maybe.
Yeah, a little horse.
Yeah, horse, but also coarse. I can feel it in my throat.
Yeah.
We'll go with it.
Yeah.
What's popping over there, dude? You seem all over the fucking place.
Dude, man, I've been crazy. Like, I feel so scattered right now. Like, I can't hardly concentrate.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah. Like, it's been crazy.
So,
Like, I'm just on so many things right now. It's insane.
yeah, it definitely. I can see it all over your face.
Yeah. Yeah. Like, I'm all over the place.
Well, what are you doing to mitigate that?
Um, I'm trying not to stress, trying to
Mhm.
find things to take my mind off stuff. Like, and then I'm just doing one thing at a time, just trying to stay focused.
Yeah.
So
Are you doing like your priority list or what?
yeah, every day I got a list made every day,
And so you're just knocking one thing off at a time.
one thing at a time,
Yeah.
one thing at a time, every day.
Yeah. It
So
definitely it definitely it definitely helps mitigate the wishy-washiness, right?
yeah, for sure. I mean, because if not, you'll get analysis by paralysis by analysis, right? So just trying to stay focused, especially the more you got going on. Like, make a good list and and get it done.
Yeah, I think that's been the only thing that has kept the boat moving forward
Yeah,
for me. Just over the past couple of months, just trying to like, okay, well, I know that I've got these things that I've got to get taken care of. Um, and these other things, they can either be delegated or moved to the side or whatever. They're just not
yeah,
as important. Um, but I tell you something. Yesterday, we were heading out to a builders meeting, trying to get some different things moving, and one of my guys, Will, the youngest guy on the team, it was just him and I in the car, and he looked over at me, and he was like, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm good, man. What's up?" He said, "Over the past 2 months, I just been noticing. I didn't want to say anything, um, but I've been noticing that we're moving with urgency, but we're
uh,
not planned." And I was like, this coming from a 19-year-old kid, as an observation from the outside in, is a little bit, um, it's a little bit different,
yeah,
coming from a young cat. Um, and I was like, okay, yeah, I'm good. But that observation you just did was definitely pinpoint, right? You hit
yeah,
the nail on the head. It was it allowed me to kind of see what I was missing, where I was kind of lacking over the past
yeah,
2 months. And for me, that was it was interesting to see coming from him. One, two, I didn't really see that I was moving in that direction, right?
yeah,
Maybe the past 2 weeks, uh, uh, I noticed it a little bit more than usual. And then he did mention over the past 2 weeks, I've noticed that you've kind of been back on your game. We've been doing a little bit more planning, a little bit more of this and that. So I was like, well, that's definitely good to see. Um, you know, that what's changing is good.
yeah. Man, I mean, look, I mean, I think everybody's entitled. We're talking about this because one of my salespeople who is a stud. like an absolute stud. They just had some losses, couple in a row, right? And they were in their head and they were just overthinking and stuff, and I was like, there's several factors. I mean, there's several facets of the issue we can go into, but like the first one was, okay, well, are the things that were an issue completely out of your control? Were they completely out of your control? Yeah, for the most part. Do you have a few things you could take back to maybe try to do differently in the future? Yes. Okay, excellent. So what can you do now? Like, I said, if you have one goal for the end of the week, what is it? Because you feel like all you've done is just try to do something lost. Okay, so what's something if you can just do one thing for the end of the week? What it is? Well, I'd like to have this thing done. That's totally in your control. There isn't no win or lose on that. All you do is actually just do it and check it off. Okay, go execute on that and have that done by the end of the week, and then leave with a win. Like making the biggest sale. I mean, I get it. If you can't pay the mortgage, okay, then yeah, that needs to be your primary focus. But if you just have an off week and it's just totally just fucking with your head or whatever, or just making you feel down, like go find something that you can win on, that you can just accomplish and say, I said I was going to do it. I did it. It's done. That's it. It's a great place to start. It's a great place to start realigning yourself.
Is it? And just having that self-assessment, we all need wins in our week and our days or whatever it may be.
Yeah.
But to be able to say, okay, look, there's a lot of shit that's not in my control, but this is, and then start hammering on that, hammering on that process.
Yeah, like just find something. It's also kind of like, well, I'm trying to change up the clientele I'm working with. Okay, well, if you were making this many calls and I got you this many clients, now you're saying you want to be a little more selective on the clients you work with, and you're having this many engagements, the same amount of engagements, but only nets you this many clients. Well, then this number's got to move up, so that number can move up. Like, a lot of times as people, we overcomplicate situations on ourselves. Right. We overcomplicate scenarios, situations. We get in our head about stuff. And God, man, if you can actually just relax and get out of your head for a second and just enjoy the moment, enjoy that 1 second, just get clarity or focus in that second, like, it can help so many things. I saw a thing online. I can't remember who the guy is. I've seen him on multiple things, but he was talking about, he realized when he got sad, he kind of, I don't know if he kind of struggled with depression a little bit, but just being sad, right? I think we overuse depression a lot of times. There's people who absolutely have clinically proven depression. They can't control it. But, a lot of people if they're sad more than 10 minutes, because we're in this immediate gratification society, then they're depressed, right? But like, all right, maybe you got a little melancholy going on. Maybe you're just down in the dumps, as we like to say, right? So a little tiny season. That guy was like, I finally realized, like, why am I sad? Why am I sad? Oh my God, I'm so sad. He just felt like I felt helpless. So once I realized the reason I felt sad was because I felt helpless, I started focusing on the things I could actually move and change. And holy shit, I could get out of these moods a lot quicker. Because I immediately go, okay, why do I feel helpless? Not why do I feel sad? Why do I feel helpless? Because me feeling helpless is making me feel sad, right? Did that, changed everything.
Yeah.
So.
We're talking about.
Huh?
Alex Ramosi.
Is that? Oh yeah, I know he's a badass.
Yeah.
And I might have butchered exactly what he said, but it was enough for you to get the point, right?
Yeah, no, the point came across very clear. And that's one of those things that it is when you have emotions, there's a reason behind those emotions. And for instance, taking it back to me, because I know I can do that. It was one of those things that this morning woke up a little frustrated, and I actually went to bed frustrated just because conversation with Will, some other shit, and then I woke up and I was in this space that I wasn't sure kind of what I was feeling. but I knew that I was like, I gotta take care of something. Walked into jujitsu this morning, and wasn't a lot of people there, right? And coach that was there knew, like he said, what anchor you carrying around today? And I was like, I feel fine, I'm good. Like he's like, no, you're carrying around an anchor, and whatever that is for you, he's pretty dialed in on me and everything that's going on, or everything that went on. And he's like, all right, on the mats. And I was like, all right. And dude, we went at it for probably an hour and a half, just straight back to back to back to back to back. And he said, your frustration or your anger, I don't know what it is, but it's radiating off of you and right now. And so we're going to get after it. And so we did. And it was at the very end, because of the push and the mainly the push, like the physical exertion of what was, what I was going through at that moment. Um, and then he would push me past where I would normally kind of be like, all right, I'm gassed.
Yeah.
At the end of it, I could feel my emotions coming through my face, wanting to come through my face.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the fuck is this? And I genuinely, like, I could feel my tear ducts like starting to uh kind of swell up. And I was like, what is happening right now? And I was like, man, everything that I've been moving so past, I've been moving so fast past these things. And I guess addition to that, whatever yesterday was, and I was like, man, I am frustrated. I am a little pissed off of where we're at the current moment. Like shit that's going, like shit that is changing in my personal life, in my business life, everything that's kind of happening. I have not been addressing, but I've been moving the ball forward in my mind, right?
Yeah.
And that one moment where I was like, I could feel my tear ducts kind of coming up, and I shut it down, and I was like, nah, like I'm just gonna let it be what it is. And the moment that happened, it was an interesting little uh, process.
So, people talk about stuff making you stronger, right? They
Mm-hmm.
talk about scars, right? Okay, hear you. But where does a scar come from?
But,
A cut, right? Some kind of trauma, right?
yeah,
But before it's ever a scar, what the fuck's got to happen to it?
gotta heal.
It's got to fucking heal, man. Like, people see around like walk around like, oh yeah, these cuts,
Yeah,
the damage, right? It's the scars, but the scars have to heal. So when the cut happens, you heal it, and then it's the scar, and that's something that you may wear as a badge of honor, right? But it's not a badge of honor till that motherfucker heals,
yeah,
So like, absolutely, we're all humans. We all got to go through. We all got to process. Then we look at it and reflect back on it and go, okay, where did that cut that's now a scar, that rut I was in, what does that do? And it galvanizes, man. I talk about Eddie on this podcast. We've had Eddie on this podcast. I mean, I look up to him tremendously. I remember being in the dumps, frustrated with anything to hit, right? I remember coming to him, I'm like, I don't understand. I'm explaining the situation. He was just kind of, I was like, I don't understand why this doesn't upset you like it's upset me, because this is bullshit. And like, this is affecting us. And at that time, I was working for him.
yeah,
And so I don't even know how long ago this was, probably like 15 years ago, 18 years ago. But I was like, I don't understand why this is not affecting you like it's affecting me. Like, I'm working for you. We're trying to get this business up, and this carrier's doing this. It's totally fucking us. It's losing my cool. And he said, man, he goes, There's between you and me. You got waves like this. He said, I got waves like this. All I try to do is temper the waves. I still have ups and downs. I just try to make those humps smaller. So I stay focused and I keep moving forward. You know what I mean? Like, think about how much energy it is. I know everybody didn't see this, but like, think how much energy it is. If I go like this, that's a lot of distance. If you take a string and run it high and low, a line high and low, high and low, high and low, well, that same 6 foot of string laid out straight is going to go a lot further distance.
Yeah.
You know, and that's his point. It's like, hey man, I try to make those smaller. He's like, and you need to work to make them smaller too. You're still going to have those ups and downs, those little humps. The straighter you can make it, the more consistent you'll be, the further you'll go. He was right, and that's what I try to do. And you know, and I think that's how you progress, where you deal with bigger issues. You deal with bigger issues now. Those life-changing, world-changing issues when you first open your business, man, we remember it. We used to talk all the time. I remember you going to hire your first employee, you were freaked the fuck out. You didn't know how you were going to pay for it, right?
And do that.
Yeah. I remember when I first opened the agency and I actually had payroll. Holy shit. I used to like gut wrenching. I'd have like 5,000 payroll due. I'd freak the fuck out. Like, okay, those kind of small things that used to hit me, like I've grown. And through those experiences, through those nervous times, scared times, those scars, all those things, you know, you get better, you progress.
Amen.
That's the beauty of this life, you know, but it's always easier. It's always easier. And we know this is true. We talk about the old times, we talk about the tough times, right? What was tough about it, what we overcame, how we won, right? How we celebrated. But knowing what it did for us when we hit tough times now, it's like, shit. Been a while since one of these hit.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a new one. This is a new one. I haven't had this situation before, right? And it's like, fuck. And then you get beat up. But like, if it's still a cut, it's got to fucking heal now,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And that's something that I didn't, I thought that everything was perfectly fine. You know what I mean? That was the crazy part. Like, I wasn't feeling any type of way. That was the crazy. It was just like, yeah, I'm good. Everything's moving. I'm going to keep pushing on this. And then I didn't realize that I was continuously just filling my time with whatever, right?
Yep.
Whether it be work, whether it be this or that. But a lot of it is when we get in those moments, whether it's at the office, whether it's whatever, being able to look back at it and say, okay, yeah, that shit was crazy back then too, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's all like you said, part of the waves. Being able to minimize and make the waves a little bit smaller when you can compare that to this or
Yeah.
this, right? It makes it a little bit easier to kind of get over the larger humps. But that's an interesting point that you touched on was the healing part, right?
Now, I will say though, I think there's opposite ends, man. You're a fucking Corbin. Let's call it like it is. You Corbins, I've never seen people harbor feelings internally and not show how they feel like a fucking Corbin. And I mean that in the most respectful
Yeah.
way. But you folks are like steel traps,
Yeah.
you know. And then you got complete opposite side. Somebody's always processing how they feel about a situation. Like
Yeah.
sometimes just do some shit. You don't need to know. Like sometimes how you feel doesn't fucking. If there's a job to get done, if there's something that needs to be handled, like, you know, I don't care if that's work, that's home too. You got a little toddler running around. Well, it doesn't really matter how you fucking feel.
Yep.
That kid probably needs their diaper changed. They need to be bathed. They need to be fed. Like, who gives a fuck if you're having a good day or not? So, you know, like sometimes there's too much on how you feel. And I think we have a large issue with that in our culture these days. Like, nobody gives a fuck half the time. Like, it's like, I'll slow down before I say something I might regret. But like, there's areas where like your feelings only apply to you. Nobody gives a fuck, right?
Yep.
So, but there is also complete flip side of like, hey, you got something you're already like, man. I remember my like anytime somebody close to me dies, I'm telling you, it happens every time. Somebody close to me dies, grandmother dies, something like that. My grandmother died real suddenly out of nowhere a couple of years ago, and people were like, "Oh my gosh, condolences." And what I was saying was just like, "Oh no, it's okay, man. She had this amazing life. She's an amazing woman. She was like served in the um, I can't remember what it's called, but like the army where it was just all women. Like, I mean, she had this like really cool experiences. She was a badass. Okay. But I never just took a second and just said, oh my God, my mama is gone. You know, like, damn, I'm sad about it. I didn't do that. And it took, and because I harbored that during that time and kept just pushing it down, it comes out of you in other ways.
Right.
Like, you know, so you gotta take a moment, process the thoughts, let the wounds heal, so you can start, move on with those scars. But but I will tell you, if you're the motherfucker that's cut from every single thing and always talking about how you feel, why don't I check that shit?
Yeah.
So, well, here's a good test. Every time you tell somebody how you feel about something or what's going on and it's too much, like, are you just looking for sympathy? You're always like, oh man, that's crazy. And they get dismissive. That means you fucking talk too much about the shit that bothers you. And nobody gives a fuck.
That's it.
I
Start,
think,
that also plays in itself of the last two conversations that we kind of had was that self-awareness of being able to actually realize, like, are you being soft? Right? Are you being too soft to where everything that happens in life, like you see it, the Karens, whatever people call them, you see it where everything that happens in their life is affecting them or pulling them in some direction, right? Yeah. You can't be that, but you also can't be this machine of a human being. There's got
yeah,
to be that middle line. There's got to be, and that's something that I think a lot of people need to work on, especially like,
sure, we all need to, dude. I mean, all of us. Nobody's got it perfect. You're never going to be perfectly in balance, but you should try to look for a middle ground of where you're healthy. Like, and I think that's the other thing. When stuff's going really well and you're in a really good spot, you're not just on some small little high from some reason. When you're just in a good place, like you're driving down the road, it's just you in the vehicle, and you're just having a good fucking day.
yep,
You got the window rolled down, wind's blowing, you're singing some song that come on the radio, and you're just happy. And like a car can pull out in front of you, it doesn't fucking matter. None of that. That's when you should also take stock and go, man, I'm like in such a good spot right now. What's making me in that good spot?
mm-hmm.
And I feel really good. What's going on? Oh, you know what? I'm just walking around really fucking grateful right now. I'm just thankful. You know, it's easy to do, but I will tell you, there's something. So my office is mostly female, and in my one location, there's only one other guy here. All right, and he works directly across from me. And a lot of times, man, I mean, we chat, we're buddies too, right? So, guys, okay. So sometimes we'll come in here, we'll be talking about something as we will start pounding our chest. Or like, oh yeah, this should happen, this should happen. We get each other fired up. And one thing we try to constantly remind each other when we're doing that is we'll go, hey, let's be men of action, not just words. Let's be men of action, not just words. Because it's one thing coming here, beat your chest, get your dick all hard because you think you're a badass. You can sit there and just talk like that. It's another thing to actually put in the actions and do it.
That's it.
That's all I got.
Beautiful. Well, guys, at the end of this, we always plug our sponsors, Jocko Fuel and Origin USA. And if you're in the buying mood, because it is December 1st, you need to go ahead and start prepping up those Christmas holiday shopping situations. And you need to go ahead and just go online, pick up all your good stuff from Jocko Fuel or Origin USA. And then when you do get to the checkout, put in the code GRIND10, GRIND10 at checkout, save yourself 10% off, and enjoy seeing all the smiling faces around you when you hand out all those beautiful gifts, whether they be I don't know, let's just say American made jeans. Who doesn't want America on their butt? I know I do.
That's right.
With all that being said, James.
Right, right.